So in the context of the op return getting taken off of the latest release of Bitcoin Core, I wanted to go down the rabbit hole a little bit with scams and spams on Bitcoin and kind of figure out how we got to the point we are. And so in that furtherance, I've got this video from Bitcoin Not Crypto where he's interviewing the Bitcoin mechanic, and he's explaining some of the main ways that spam is put onto Bitcoin currently. And then I'll give kind of a summary of the different ways using some pullouts from AI.
Within that, there's a suspicious new kind of attack that sits in this sweet spot of three different ways. The three main ways you can store arbitrary data in Bitcoin. You can either use the inscriptions hack, which is amazing for people trying to store JPEGs and stuff, because they're storing so much data that they can sneak into the witness section of a transaction, and witness data gets a 75% discount in Bitcoin, and they get to make disproportionate use of that. But these guys aren't using that much, but they're also using too much to use op return, so they create fake pub keys, which are the most harmful form of spam in Bitcoin. And this is where it starts to contradict itself. They can't use op return because there's a bunch of spam filters preventing them from using op return, and they in theory really want to use op return because it's a bit cheaper than creating fake pub key outs. And the gaslighting comes in the shape of, well, we need to get rid of the filters on op return because then they'll use that, in the context of having said for years there's nothing we can do about spam because spam filters don't work. So that is the contradiction here that's being so annoying for everyone to witness, because it feels like we can only ever acknowledge they work in service of relaxing filters to help spammers out. We can never acknowledge they work to prevent spammers from coming and destroying the whole, blowing up the UTXO set in the first place, because even witness discount abuse still blows up the UTXO set. It's not with fake pub key outs, but they still create millions of outputs, and they took us from 80 million outs to 200 million outs in 2 years, and just blew up the UTXO set, and suddenly a whole bunch of hardware couldn't run nodes anymore.
So that's kind of an interesting introduction by him of the different ways that spam has made it onto Bitcoin. And if you're like me, you're not super technical like the mechanic there is. So I thought I would break down some of the stuff that he was talking about using AI. So here's an AI description of some of the information that he just shared.
Spam on Bitcoin can be introduced via inscriptions, large, discounted witness data for NFTs/tokens, consuming significant block space. OP_return, small, prunable metadata, limited but debated for potential bloat. Dust transactions, tiny outputs bloating the UTXO set. Transaction flooding, redundant transactions clogging the mempool. Malicious data, illegal or harmful content in inscriptions/OP_return. Complex scripts, inefficient scripts wasting resources. Inscriptions are the most prominent due to their size and cost-effectiveness, raising fees and node costs, while OP_return is less impactful but faces similar debates over data use. Lightning Network is affected by spam-driven fee spikes, hindering channel management, but could mitigate some on-chain demand via off-chain payments or data. The spam debate reflects Bitcoin's core tension: monetary system versus open data platform. Mitigations like fee adjustments or pruning could help, but ideological divides persist. If you want details on a specific method, e.g., inscription examples, OP_return proposals, or Lightning's anti-spam role, let me know. What about fake pub keys? Fake public keys, pub keys, are another method to embed arbitrary data or spam onto the Bitcoin blockchain by encoding data in fields intended for cryptographic public keys, such as in transaction outputs or scripts. This approach exploits Bitcoin's flexible scripting system to store non-financial data, often bypassing the size or cost constraints of other methods like inscriptions or OP_return.